Hello, everyone. Me and Eileen are back with another episode, and this time we're going to be talking about things we wished we knew as underclassmen and juniors. These tips can apply to anyone doing homeroom, hybrid, or virtual.
Right, so we're about to be high school seniors, which is about to take on a whole new meaning this year. And obviously, we've learned a lot of things throughout our 3 years that we've already finished. So we wanted to share some of these things for all the incoming underclassmen and juniors so that hopefully you get to learn from all our mistakes and really have an overall better high school experience. So with that said, here is things we wish that we knew as underclassmen and juniors. We're going to go through our general tips first, and then we're going to talk about specific underclassmen tips and then junior tips. So we're going to have timestamps at the bottom if you don't want to listen to all of it, or if all of it doesn't apply to you, just so that you can skip around and listen to the parts that you need, just by the way.
So the first general tip we have, and this is so basic, but when I tell you, you need to keep this in mind, is don't leave it for the weekend. Don't do it. If you can do it during the week, do it during the week.
For me, I could tell you at least 99% of the weekends that I've had throughout high school, I've left everything for Sunday.
Yeah.
Either Sunday morning or Sunday night, but I just leave it all for Sunday. I might get a big assignment on Thursday and be like, oof, guess I don't have to deal with that until later. So glad that I don't have to deal with it right now. But it's not like I even do anything Friday nights anyway. I'm kind of a lame kind of person like that. I just kind of stay at home. So just really use your week. If you're going to make Monday through Friday your work week and you're already going to go to school anyway, just do all your work then so you can fully bask in the weekend and do whatever you want. I can't tell you how many times I've been dang, I wish I just did it on Thursday.
Yeah.
Or on Wednesday or whatever. Just do it. This will come with experience, but just early on, just get it done throughout the week. You don't want to leave it for the weekend. But our next thing, which I don't think any of us are ever going to unlearn after this pandemic, is just enjoy it like it's your last. So we are about to be high school seniors, and there are a lot of things that we had to skip out on last year, like prom, like senior takeover, where we take over the senior courtyard. But we never really realized that either A, we were never going to have those things, or just that our last homecoming or our last pep rallies or our last winter formals were truly going to be our last, because by the looks of it, they are going to be our last. I know a lot of people had skipped our last pep rally because they were like, oh, okay, whatever, we're going to have another one. Just don't take that for granted. Enjoy every single day that you have in high school as much as you can, because even though the days are really long, the years are so short. The years are so short. They go by so fast. I absolutely can't believe that I am about to be a senior. I feel like I'm about to go into my sophomore year of high school. Just really enjoy it, and you're gonna look back on it anyway when you're a senior and be like, wow, I could have enjoyed it more. But just as a word of advice for me, please enjoy the amount of time that you have in high school, because 4 years might seem like a long time, but it is truly one of the primes.
There's no better way you could have phrased it when you said the days go by slow but the years go by fast. I genuinely remember walking in as a freshman. I don't know, it's crazy to me how I'm a senior, but you have nothing to lose if you enjoy it like it's your last. If anything, you're gonna have more fun.
Yeah.
There's no, you don't lose anything, but in case it is your last, at least you have no regrets.
Yeah, exactly.
I had regrets about my pep rally. I was half I don't know, I was okay, yeah, pep rally, no one's here. But, and I didn't even want to go to winter formal. I was okay, I don't even want to go, but I went.
I didn't.
Yeah, I just went because my friends were okay, let's go. But I just really wish, I really sat and thought, if this was my last dance, how much fun it would be. The next tip we have is to have an open mind. So this is really important in high school because literally high school is a period of change for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You're changing all the time. If it's not just your personality, it's mentally, it's biologically too. So the friends you may click with aren't always going to be the most popular or social. They're not always going to be the people who wear the best clothes or people who dress the nicest. People, it's not going to be like that. Be kind to everyone. You don't know who you're going to be friends with. And genuinely, looks don't matter. You're in high school and no one cares.
Well, I know for me, when I first came into high school, I had just moved into a completely new city. I knew nobody. So I didn't really have any like middle school friends to like immediately click with. But I'm very good at like, because I've moved schools so many times, I'm good at surveying the land and seeing exactly who's popular and who's going to be viewed as like lame or boring or whatever. And throughout my 3 years, I can tell you that the people that I didn't initially view as like super popular or social are like top-notch people, like really truly kind, intelligent, like not shallow people. And obviously like your friend groups do change throughout the years, but just don't block out some people from like your peripheral vision from the start. Have an open mind about who you're going to be friends with, who even what classes you're going to take, and just have that open mind because this really is the time to meet people that are really going to shape you into the person that you're going to become. And if you stick with the wrong people, that's probably not going to end well for you. I'm sorry to say, but
Another really important thing Marilyn learned is to study as you learn. The thing is, most of us don't study as we learn. We're like, okay, let's study for this one test, and then you try to forget everything you learned to move on to the next test and the next test. But you need to give your brain some credit. It can retain a lot of information.
mm-hmm.
So definitely study as you learn. Do not cram for exams at the end because what I did this year, I had a lot of exams. I was a junior, but instead of really studying, I studied throughout the year a little bit more. I paid a little more attention to what I was learning, and I like significantly studied less and did a lot better in my exams than I did sophomore and freshman year.
Right. Well, I know for me, chemistry has always been a very tricky subject for me, and I just took AP chemistry this past year. Loved my teacher, but he's just really difficult in terms of like the way he explains things and like the expectations he sets for us. And just I always put off like actually understanding the lessons for the test. So he would teach something, I'd be sitting in class being like, I have no idea what this man is saying right now. And then I just try and fully understand the topic like the night before the test. Don't do that. That's not a good idea. Try to like fully understand the topic as it's being taught. Like if I wish that if I didn't understand something, I went home and fully grasped the concept before going back to school the next day. I think that would have definitely saved me so many hours of pre-AP cramming. And even though it ended well, I can tell you that I definitely did learn my lesson, that I will definitely not be employing that strategy again. Just make sure that you study as you learn, because in the long run, it's going to take a lot fewer hours if you just learn and study as you go along the course, as opposed to like learning a bunch and then cramming and then learning a bunch and then cramming. So definitely just get yourself into a really good rhythm.
Also, like as soon as you take notes on a lesson, go home and review it.
Mm-hmm.
In case you don't know, like, or you're confused, you can go to your teacher or your friend and just ask, because then the concept would be so much clearer. And if there's lessons building on the previous lesson, you won't be screwed.
Yeah. And the next biggest thing that's so commonly overlooked is to experiment. We all walked into high school thinking that we need to have like these perfect resumes so that we can get into these fantastic colleges and like carefully craft this kind of like idea of who we were during high school. But this is the prime time to experiment with different things and different classes and clubs that you might enjoy. Do things for you and not for the college applications. You will have a much more enjoyable high school experience. We talked about this in our episode about the smart stereotype and how many Asian American students, or like just foreign immigrant students in general, feel the pressure to do a lot of things just for college applications. I know that I've definitely felt this pressure, Trisha. I think you have too. But just realize that high school is such a great opportunity to learn about what you enjoy. Don't wait for your passion to strike. Like, go out and pursue it. Don't waste that opportunity. I know for me, just by chance, I learned about something that I kind of figured out what I really have a passion for learning just by chance, because I was experimenting with a lot of different classes. The combination of my sophomore year psychology class and my junior philosophy class made me realize that I had a passion for learning about brains. I don't think that I would have really realized that otherwise if I hadn't taken these two like really distinct kind of out there classes and just, taken the jump, just decided to go for it. just take that leap and decide to take some of these more eccentric classes, because this is the time to really understand what you want to learn about and what really interests you. Because you, no matter what your parents say, medical school is going to be really difficult if you don't care, if you don't want to know. So just figure out what you want to do right now so that you can be successful at that in the future. If I just realize that, wow, I really would much rather do scientific research than go into healthcare, then that's better. It's better for me to learn that now than halfway through medical school. You know what I'm saying? Like, just figure these things out as early as possible by experimenting with your classes and your clubs.
I agree. I can't tell you how many times do not do things just to put on your college apps because A, you're not going to do it that well, and B, it's going to be so vain and people are going to see that. Admissions officers are going to see that you're just doing things for college apps, and it's not going to look good. It's not going to be a good holistic review of your personality, so just don't do it.
Yeah.
Another tip we have is organization. 9 times out of 10, organization and planning will save your butt. People are like, you like using planners, like that's stupid, or like, like I don't need to. I memorize everything in my head. Well, you know what? I'm glad you trust yourself that much, but I don't. Like I write everything down in my planner, A, because it makes like it's nice to know you have it written down somewhere. And B, well, it's kind of satisfying to check things off and stuff. I don't know. I like using my planner, and I really think that it really has helped. I have all my planners literally, I'm looking at them right now from freshman to junior year. They're all filled with notes and things, but I genuinely think it's helped me so much, like in organizing my homework, due dates, tests, projects. I don't know, it's just been really helpful. It's a good investment. Also, we do get free school planners if you can't afford one, and I think those are pretty good too. So anything you can use to write, it doesn't even have to be a planner. Your phone, just do it.
Yeah. I definitely did have like a quote unquote near death experience in terms of like organization back in like I think sophomore year, when I wrote everything down, but I didn't really feel like checking my planner that weekend because it wasn't that much, so I kind of just remembered it. And then Sunday night, checked my planner, massive essay due the next morning. And if I hadn't checked that, I wouldn't like it, I just wouldn't have done it because I trusted myself. I was like, oh, it's only a few things, like I'll remember. But then I checked and it just dawned on me that I hadn't done this. So that absolutely saved my 10th grade English grade, and it will save your butt many, many times. So just have that safety net and just have that freedom of like having it off your mind, because if you're just storing it in your brain, you're going to be thinking about it while you're trying to go to sleep, you're going to be thinking about it while you're like trying to do other homework. Just get it down somewhere so you don't have to have it floating around in your brain is like definitely one of the best strategies in terms of keeping organized throughout the school year. And lastly, for our general little bits of advice that we have, is just to take pride in your smaller accomplishments. Recognize the effort that you put into your schoolwork or your tests or just, whatever it is. I heard a quote from Voltaire a while ago that I thought was just really applicable to this. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Just because what you did wasn't absolutely perfect or didn't match up exactly to something that your peers did, don't discredit all the work that you put in. Sometimes I would work really hard on a chemistry test and just get just on the brink of like a score that I would consider acceptable, but I'd see other people putting in like zero effort and getting like 100% or whatever. And that, it might rub me a bit the wrong way, but I I still had to learn to take pride in all those accomplishments and all that effort that I put in, and just value yourself for it, because over time, if you don't do that, you're going to put in less and less effort and then your grades are going to tank, and that's not good. So just really value what you put in.
I agree. And like we said before in earlier episodes, don't compare yourself to other people. If you get a grade you want to get on a test and you're proud of it, revel in that because,
Yeah.
a lot of times you're going to put in a lot of effort and maybe you might not get the score you do. Or, especially in cases with a highly competitive school, you have tests all the time. But it's important to, take in the little victories. So it's a little small boost of confidence that'll keep you going. Because if you don't appreciate the hard work you're doing, it's going to get to a point where nothing's ever going to make you like satisfied anymore. And you can't let that happen.
Now we're going to go on to the underclassmen section, where this is like if you're going into high school or if you're in your earlier years of high school, this is like some of the specific advice that we have geared towards you. So my biggest piece of advice that you can learn from my mistake is to start attending clubs and do like college research and just, club class research early on. My mistake was that I did nothing my freshman year of high
Me
school.
neither.
No, like absolutely no
No clubs,
extracurriculars.
nothing.
Nothing. Exactly. I had just moved to a brand new city. I knew absolutely nobody, and I didn't make any attempts to branch out and meet new people and just like, get into those circles that I wanted to get into. I just kind of stuck to myself. I was the new kid. I didn't know anybody. And I just didn't take those steps to, like, get involved in a sport or get involved in some honor societies that I would be interested in or something like that. But just branch out. That's so huge. Like we said before, this is the time to experiment. High school is that prime time. So do your research, start attending your clubs, start trying out for different sports that you might be interested in, try new things. I never thought that I'd ever be a cross country runner because I hated exercise, but here I am running cross country like 50 minutes a day of running, and it's fun for me. I enjoy it now. So just, take that time to branch out and do things that you might not have done like a year ago.
Yeah, me neither. I started playing lacrosse my sophomore year, and I started doing a lot more clubs my sophomore year. I don't know what was going on in my freshman year mind. I just decided that I was not going to do anything, and I really regret it. Like, I regret not playing lacrosse earlier because now, like, I really love the sport, but it's too late to ever like do anything bigger with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't do any clubs freshman year, and honestly, if I stuck with it longer, I probably could have gone to like a better like place in the club, or even like even just made a better impact on the club that I wanted to make an impact on.
Right.
But other than that, another thing is establish a good relationship with your favorite teachers or teachers who teach classes that are really difficult. And this is really important because A, you don't want to be mean to your teachers, the people who are grading your grades, but B, you need recommendation letters. You're going to need them from colleges, summer internship opportunities, anything. So you're going to have to ask some people, and you want these people to have good stories about you so you can get those good recommendation letters.
Yeah, I can definitely tell you right now that I have a couple teachers in mind that I would definitely not mind like going out to like lunch with, or just like having like a couple of friends and like this teacher, and we all go out to lunch and have a great time because we've just become that close and they're just that good of people. Yes, you will have some teachers and some classes that you will not like, but there are also some teachers that can really like truly benefit your future. Like I have some teachers that I truly look up to as people, as mentors, just in day-to-day life. Like I admire their attitude and like how far they've come in life. And it's like cliche to like always bash your teachers or whatever, but just have a good relationship with some of them because they really are, for the most part, doing this because they want to be here. Their
Yeah.
salaries are not top notch. They're here because they want to be, unless they're like pedophiles. Stay away from those. But some teachers are really good, and you have to take that opportunity and form those good relationships with them because it will really benefit you and them.
Yeah. And trust your teachers that are writing your recommendation letters. That's all I have to say about that. But the next tip, your grades start mattering the second you walk into high school. And I'm pretty sure for Eileen and I, like, we knew this. We were like, okay, they matter. But in hindsight, like, I feel like I could have worked a lot harder freshman year. I could have like I guess been more motivated and had better grades if I knew that like senior me was like, Trisha, like, really, like, you had to get a B in this one class. Like, it's messing up your like GPA now, and GPA doesn't really matter, but like it's a regret that I have.
Right. I know that I didn't actually think that my grades mattered that much when I walked into high school. I just kept up like my straight A trend from middle school because that was what it was expected of me from my parents. It wasn't necessarily like, oh my God, colleges are going to care so much. It was more of like I have to do this because it's my obligation. But I know a lot of my friends regretted later on that they didn't take their freshman year as seriously as they should have. Don't make that mistake. Realize that when you're applying to college, they're mostly basing everything that they know about you from like your freshman to your junior year. They don't know much about your senior year. So your freshman year GPA is really important to your overall GPA for all of high
A
school.
third of
Don't
it.
Yeah, exactly. Don't like discredit that. Like start putting in that work and start forming those really good study habits in general, because you're gonna need them and they're gonna come in very handy later on. Don't start thinking that you're still in middle school. Like, it starts mattering the second that you step foot into that high school.
Yeah. Also, when are you ever going to regret something like that? Like doing better in freshman year or like trying in freshman year? Like, how are, I don't know. I don't see that as something you're ever going to regret. You have nothing to lose.
Yeah, also take kind of hard classes freshman year. I know this is kind of like a, oh, freshman year, like you should take it easy, but like the thing is, when you're a freshman, teachers cut you so much more slack. So you have that opportunity to experiment without as much like repercussions, I guess. So like take those harder classes, like take that leap. I know that Trisha and I, we both took AP Hug, our human geography, our freshman year, and it ended up being like honestly one of the most interesting classes that I've ever taken.
Yeah.
It was really interesting. It was a really interesting class. So, just take that leap early on and remember that your grades matter from the second you walk into high school. And our last tip for underclassmen is that, just a reminder that you're not always going to have the same friends for all of high school and middle school. Honestly, I can practically guarantee to you that you're not going to have that. High school, like we said before, the period of immense change, and the majority of your friends are going to be the ones that you see the most, right? And I think it's called like mirror exposure effect in
Mm-hmm.
psychology or whatever. It's whether it be the people that you see most at sports practices or just in class, like who you sit near, that has such a big impact on, who you become friends with. Like, for example, my sophomore year, there was a person in my class named Henry. Now that's my
Mm-hmm.
dog, but he was in my class, but he sat towards the back, so we weren't that close. But then junior year, I sat next to him in English and in chemistry. So that became like a really good friend of mine. Henry and I became really good friends over junior year, not because we just all of a sudden like our personalities like clicked or whatever. No, it's just because that we like started sitting in the same area. And that's just one example. So just understand that you don't have to like limit yourself to the kinds of people that you're able to be friends with. Like, you can still expand, and you don't have to keep the same friend group for all of high school and middle school. There are people that I've grown apart from and then come back to, or just grown apart from and stayed cordial with. Yeah. So, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, honestly, this is one of the lessons. People told me this walking into freshman year. They told me that you're not gonna have the same friends you had in middle school. I never believed them, but honestly, I learned the hard way. Because sometimes you just don't want to break apart from some bonds that you have to break apart from. You're gonna change, and other people are gonna change, and they change for the worse. You gotta let them go. And honestly, you're gonna like find out a lot more about yourself in high school. I don't know. I did. I like had a lot of introspective revelations, and when I looked down to it, I was like, the friends I have now are not the friends I want to be with. So
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely surround yourself with people that you want to be like. Like, I know that,
people that make you happy.
yeah, but definitely the people that you want to emulate. Like, I know freshman year I might have been friends with some people that were like either like glued to their phones or kind of more like the gossipy type. But then as I progressed through high school, I found people that were like incredibly happy and like really just outgoing and like kind to everyone, and that's the kind of person that I want to be. So I try to surround myself with those kinds of people. You also don't need to have just one friend group or a friend group at all. Friend groups form naturally, and we personally ended up having many different friend groups throughout our years of high school with no particular preference for any one of them. I just kind of talk to all of them, hang out with all of them. It's better to have that kind of reach. For me personally, I'm not the kind of person to have like one super tight knit group. If you are that kind of person, that's fine, but just know that this is like a time where a lot of people are in a lot of different friend groups, and it should be more like an interwoven system as opposed to like a bunch of cliques like it is in high school movies. Like, it shouldn't be like that. At least for us, it wasn't.
So this is advice geared towards juniors now because you gotta get a little more specific when it comes to junior year.
Oh yeah.
So the first tip we have is to learn to manage stress before it hits you. And honestly, this could probably go under underclassmen advice, but especially for juniors, get good stress management methods in place before you enter your junior year. Whether it's exercise, a passion, journaling, I don't know, anything that works for you. Don't wait till you have a complete meltdown in the middle of class like I did to manage overwhelming feelings. get a good foundation in it, know what makes you happy, know what de-stresses you, and like I said, be organized. It takes a lot of stress off of you. We did an episode on self-care, which you probably should check out if you want more ideas.
So another big, like, kind of specific tip that I have for juniors is to aim to get a decent SAT score by the end of junior year. And this is just the one that you aspire to. You don't have to get a 1600. Just know, like, for your range and like the colleges that you're applying to, what SAT score you need, and aim to get that by the end of your junior year. Senior year is going to be busy. You're going to want to focus on your college application, so try to get it done as early as possible. I know that I got a decent SAT score the November of my junior year, and I was pretty much done with it. I was really lucky to just have a one and done experience, but I planned to have it earlier in my junior year, so if need be, I could take it again later on in my junior year. If you're more like Trisha, you might still be trying, but that's okay. She did take the SAT several times throughout her junior year, and you just need to have that goal and just try to get it done by the end of junior year. If you can't, it's not the end of the world. You still have a chance. Just try to get it off your mind as soon as possible, because you don't want it to hinder your schoolwork or your college applications or whatever.
Yeah, I am still trying, but the thing is, you need to realize that your goal or the goal you want to have has to be realistic to what you are. I remember the first time I took it, I was like, this is a horrible score. Like, I'm never going to get into college with that. And it really was a good score. Like, it wasn't even that bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, I don't know, I just had a really high expectation. And I was like, whatever, it's summer, so might as well take it one more time. So, and it's not like the number of times you take it matters. Like, obviously, if you take it 5 times, it's a little worrisome. But if you're taking it once or twice, or maybe even 3 times, like, it's not that big of a deal.
It's not a big deal, yeah.
But definitely, I regret just not, because I didn't study my junior year for the SAT at all. So I would just say, keep in the back of your mind, study the summer before your junior year and just take it, because I remember being stressed about my SAT all throughout junior year. On top of all the things I had to do, I had to study for the SAT.
You don't want to have that, like, looming over your head. Try to get it off you as soon as possible.
Our third and last tip for this episode is to start jotting down college essay ideas as they pop up in your head. Keep it in the back of your mind, like, I'm going to have to write a college essay, and I'm going to have to write about some personal things. So you definitely, like, want to keep that in mind, because it's going to be really valuable in the future. I remember, like, throughout classes, sometimes I get, like, random, like I should write about this, and I just kept it in a notebook, and now I'm writing my personal statements and stuff, and it's so helpful.
Yeah, for sure. This is huge. I definitely did start doing this, I think, yeah, sophomore year or like the summer before junior year or something like that. It will be so helpful, because you shouldn't have to, like, sit down and be like, what am I going to write about? Because that sucks. That's an awful feeling. I had to do that a little bit because I didn't have enough ideas, but it's just so much easier to just grab them as they come to you, because they will come to you naturally. You do have a creative mind, and you will have some ideas about what to write about if you do know, like, the scope of your essay. But just understand that it's so much easier to grab the ideas as they come, as opposed to, like, digging through your mind to get them. So definitely start jotting down those college ideas as soon as they pop into your head, because they will be priceless in the future.
And for most of us, we haven't had life altering events happen to us. So it's not that easy to just know what to write an essay about. For people who are ordinary, like I am, like, I'm very ordinary. There's nothing interesting ever going on in my life. It's hard for me to write an essay. So, you gotta be a little more creative. And if you know that you don't have any life altering event or something specific you want to talk about, keep it in mind, because you don't want to be stressed about writing topics like this. It's going to take a while for you to get the perfect essay.
So that was our episode on just things that we wish that we knew as underclassmen and juniors. We really hope that you enjoyed this episode or got something out of it, and that you will hopefully take to heart some of the tips that we gave. You can follow us on Instagram at FirstGenFailures to know whenever we post a new episode, which is every Friday at 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we upload all of our podcasts to YouTube if you're not able to have access to a podcast streaming app. But if you have, like, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, any of those, you can listen to our podcast. If you did enjoy our podcast, make sure to rate it on Apple Podcasts. We would really appreciate that. And thank you so much for listening today, and bye.
Bye.